Hi, welcome to another bit of music theory on a Monday. Now, I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, but with the benefit of YouTube, you can go back and watch it again. About 2/3 of the way through this, I'm probably going to tell you to stop and go back and think about what we've done already, but there are some more complicated concepts to think about towards the end. I'm going to use a combination of the keyboard, which I have plugged in, and a whiteboard to show you how I would work these things out as well. The first thing is, from last week when we were talking about modes, we said that was a sequence of notes in a particular order, and we're either using whole steps or half steps, tones, semitones, whichever way you like to think about it, to work out those sequences. And what we said was there are different modes with different names. The first mode, Ionian, is the major mode. So that's the one we're basically focusing on today. This was the Ionian mode intervals, so you can work out any major, which we'll call it from now on instead of Ionian. So any major scale we can work out. Remember we said that was major and poppy and happy. If we look at C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All the white notes from C to C. But it's the same intervals each time, no matter which note you start on. So if I start on D, I'm going to go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Now I've got D major. My challenge for you to start with is to pause the video and go and work out a different major scale, but choose one of the white notes for the major scales. So B major, A major, F major, G major. Don't do any of the black note scales. I will explain why at the end of the video. Okay, if you've worked out the notes that are in a scale, so we had C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C for C major, you will be able to work out the triads, which literally means a group of 3 notes, for that major scale. So for example, if we start on the first note, what we are doing is missing out one of the notes of the scale. So we're going from 1, missing out the second and going to the third, miss out the fourth, go to the fifth. If you start on the second, you miss out the third, go to the fourth, miss the fifth, go to the sixth. That then creates triads which look like this. So 1, 3 and 5 is C major. If we start on the second, we need to go 2, 4 and 6th notes. So second, fourth, sixth. That is D minor. As you move up, you will then create these on the right hand side. You will see, so based on the first degree, you'll get a major, then you'll get a minor, then another minor, E minor. Then you get a major, so we've got F major, another major, G major, A minor, and then finally B diminished. Just by working out each of the steps, so play 1, miss 1, play 1, miss 1, play 1. That's the easiest way to work out the triads of the major scale. Why do you need to know that? Well, that's because the most common chords you'll come across are the 1st, 4th, 5th and 6th in most pop rock music. In C major, you most commonly use C, F, G and A minor in some form of combination. But that's not to say you can't use chords from outside of the scale, but they are the most common. What I would do now is go and work out the chords of the scale that you just did. So if you did D major, haven't I? So to work out the notes, you go D, then there's going to be an E, F, G, some sort of A, some sort of B, some sort of C, and some sort of D. Then you need to work out whether they are sharp or not. So we've got D, tone, tone, that's F sharp, tone, tone, semitone. So G's fine, tone, tone. Oh, it's C sharp. So there we go. Now I know what the notes are in the scale. And to work out the triads, what you do is you miss one and play one. So the first chord is going to be D, F sharp, miss one, and A. Then we're going to have E, G, B, F sharp, A, C sharp, and so on until you get to the end. You obviously don't need to work out the D because it's the same as the beginning. So we know the first major, minor, minor. Yeah, so you can work out all the triads of D major. There you go. That's a bit of work for you. From here on, these are additional thoughts. So if you've got your head around being able to work out a major scale, and you've managed to work out the triads, brilliant, well done. What I will say, in addition to this, so this is a bit of extra stuff you can have a go at if you like, notice that you actually worked out all the chords of the relative minor as well. If you've got all the chords worked out for C major, because that includes A minor, and the notes in C major and A minor are the same, they're all the white notes, you've also worked out all the chords that are in A minor. Technically done double the work for no extra points. Understanding this relies on not only the modes, because last week, remember, we said the Ionian and the Aeolian, which is the minor, and Ionian, which is the major, obviously have the same notes in them. They just start at different points. Something else you could try is working out the sevenths of a major scale. They are named slightly differently if I get out the way. So when you've worked these out, these are worked on the first, third, fifth, like we did for the triads, but you now add the seventh, going play one, miss one, 1, 3, 5, 7, or 2, 4, 6, 8, or 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on. That will then produce those chords on the right hand side, so you get a major seventh, minor 7, minor 7, major 7. Then you get to dominant seventh. The reason it's called a dominant seventh is for another reason that we'll come to in another episode. Then you get the minor 7, and finally you'll have a half diminished. So if I show you those, so 1, 3, 5, 7, that's a major seventh, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant seventh, minor 7, half diminished. There's another chance for you to go and work out the seventh chords of whatever your scale was. And the last thing I wanted to say was, why did I say don't work out a scale that started on a black note? And that is because we are used to giving those different names. So the same black note can have 2 different names depending on whether it is flat or sharp. So if you work out E flat major, that would be relatively okay, because each note has a different name. That is just one of the rules of writing down scales. They have to have a different name. So if you start on E flat, whatever the next thing is has to be F something, then G, A, B, C, D until you get back to E. The problem comes is if you think about this as D sharp major, when you get to the third note, so you'll start on D sharp, the next note needs to be called E something, but the tone away is here. Now we would normally call that an F, but you have to call it an E something, so we call it an E sharp, which is a bit odd. By the time you get to the third note, we've got to call this F something, just because it's got to go D, E, F, but we know that as a G. Just bear in mind, That is called an F double sharp. If you see that written in music at the bottom left there, you can see it is a bold X that is marked next to the note if it's a double sharp. Now, in practice, D sharp major isn't used because it sounds exactly the same as E flat major. The notes are the same, enharmonically, it is the same scale. But bear that in mind, that when you're writing down the scales, they do go sequentially. So if you start on an E, the next has to be an F, G, A. If you start on a D, it has to go E, F, G. That's why double sharps were invented. I didn't make the rules up. This is just music theory. And that's what they decided to do back in the day. If you liked and subscribed, thank you very much. I'll see you for some more mind-bending theory next week, no doubt. Take care. Bye.